Party people, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by JV Hampton-VanSant for a game of What's So Tough About Crime Fighting by Mark Strox. What's So Tough About Crime Fighting is a quick-to-play RPG designed to replicate stories about low-power, street-level superheroes in the vein of the Bat Family and the Defenders. In it, you'll create a city, the masked vigilantes that defend that city, and you'll find out the threats that those vigilantes have to overcome. Like I said, it is lightweight, it is easy to play, and honestly, we had a great time with it. It is super fun, and I cannot wait for you to hear the game. You can find out more information about What's So Tough About Crime Fighting at mstrox.itch.io, or you can check the show notes for more information. JV is the host of JV Reads the Tea, a podcast where every episode they give a custom tarot reading to their guest. I was a guest on JV Reads the Tea. It was a lovely experience. It's a lovely interview chat podcast. I was such a fan. I was excited to do it because it's a show that I also just enjoy listening to. She is also a cast member on Losers, A Love Story, which is a production by the folks behind Aurora Borealis. It is a fan fiction actual play retelling of It by Stephen King, using the game Back to Derry by friend of the show Christine Previs. It is, Losers, A Love Story is some of the best actual play being produced right now. I think it is a feat. I think it is astounding. It is incredibly good. I cannot tell you enough good things about Losers, A Love Story. I genuinely think you should go into the show notes. You should listen to it. I think it is incredible. I'm giving it the highest praise that I can give it. And lastly, one more thing I want to talk about that JV does, because I think it is incredible, is Birds of Prey Outcry. They are the writer, director, co-producer, sound designer, and a cast member on Birds of Prey Outcry, which is a fan-made microfiction audio drama sequel to Birds of Prey. It is incredibly good. The entire series is out now. You can listen to it. I was a small part in it. I think it is a wonderful, wonderful story. I think it is great. I think you are going to love it. You can find more links to all of the things that I just talked about in the show notes. Real quick, one quick thing before we dive in. A special shout out to Jack Blair and Ben Wallace, our newest backers on Patreon. I really, really appreciate your support of the show. Patreon backers get early access to new episodes. They get access to game texts that I write before they go out to the public. It is a pretty great deal. You can find more information at patreon.com/JeffStormer. And with that, I think that's all we do here. So let's go ahead and throw it over to me, the pass, so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am so excited to be sitting down with JV Hampton-VanSant. JV, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thanks for having me on. This is super exciting.
I could not be more excited. Honestly, like, you reached out and you were like, we should do each other's podcasts. And I was like, okay, good, because I've been waiting to ask that exact question for weeks. So I'm glad that we're here doing this today. I could not be more excited.
Yay. Oh, very, very, very exciting.
So speaking of other podcasts, why don't you take a moment to let the lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Okay, so there are several shows.
That is a mood if ever I've heard one.
So show number one is, I think the most, well, I'll save the one for the most directly relevant to like what we're about to do for the end. But the first one is JV Reads the Tea. As we record this, your episode went up today, which I love a lot. So
I made me very happy when I saw that.
Yeah, so that episode came out today. Super cool. On that show, I read people's tarot cards and we have a conversation about them. And I always find that to be a very fun and informative time. Which is always
one of my
great.
favorite recordings I've done in ages.
Yay! That makes me very happy to hear. I am also a part of Aurora Borealis and that general, like, I almost said channel, which isn't right, but I'll call it a channel of things because there's a lot of different things that come through it. Mainly on Aurora Borealis 76 and Losers, A Love Story. Those are the two ones that I sort of am a part of the most, but I would say the thing that is most directly relevant to what we're going to do today.
That seems like a fair descriptor. That seems like it's almost as if I picked this intentionally.
Almost, right? Like just almost.
A little bit.
It's the audio drama podcast that I wrote and directed and also starred and edited and did basically a lot of it for, and yet it is still co-produced by another human, so there is that. called Birds of Prey Outcry, which is a sequel to Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
It is. So I get to talk about this because it's fun and I'm excited about it. I was a cast member on it. I played a small role, but I played a role that like I enjoyed playing a whole lot.
Yes.
Like it, and so I read the scripts and I've listened to the episodes, and it's real good. Is the thing like.
Thank you.
Like this is where I get to put my guest on the spot and say like it real good though is the thing. Like it's I honestly I don't even know what to say other than it's real good. Like it's one of those things that it's so good that I have lost the ability to specifically call things out about it.
There was a little moment in time where I had briefly quit audio fiction, and it took finding a topic that actually meant something to me for me to decide to continue writing again. And this story sort of popped out of my head a little bit like a little bit like Athena, like just fully formed. Just the whole idea was just there. And the setting of it being, Gotham City made sense to me. And just there was also, I think, a story that I never read, but that was similar, that was in the comics, that like the sort of central premise being there is a series of protests that are taking place in Gotham City that are well timed and very much needed to happen. That happened in the comics at one point. I think it was in 2016. But I never read that one, and I didn't realize that had happened until after I wrote this whole thing. So what hasn't happened at this point at some point in the 80-year run of Batman comics? Precisely. Plus, it was also like one issue when it's in theory a topic that I personally would think needs at least like a whole series. So I wrote a whole series, and that's what's going on the internet now. All the episodes are microfiction, which makes it a lot more digestible for people. But if people are so inclined to want to just wait and binge listen to the entire thing, there's going to be an edit released at the very end with just the full show, but the whole thing, just a massive audio file.
That's very exciting.
Every episode, yeah, which I'm very excited about people getting to hear that version of it without like without the intro in between each one and the credits, basically.
That's releasing that at the end is so cool because you get the experience of like it's the week to week versus the trade. It is like I've followed each chapter of this, and now I get to like piece through the whole thing. Like that's very good. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
That idea came from my co-producer and co-creator of the show, A.R. Olivieri, who does that for all of their microfictions. And truly, I was nervous about doing microfiction because I can be long-winded, like real long-winded. So the concept of doing something that was really very short was nerve-wracking. But AR does it all the time, so they're able to tell me it. Just go for it, give it a shot, and I did, and this is it. And with something that is so short, like, the fact that you can edit them all together so that they all just sort of fit together, all nice and neat like that, is real fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Birds of Prey, speaking of a little town called Gotham City, this week we are playing a game called What's So Tough About Crime Fighting, which is designed to tell stories about superheroes, about low-level, like neighborhood, borough-level superheroes defending their town. The game quotes as inspiration, most specifically, stories in the vein of the Bat Family. And we talked a little bit off mic, and we said, if that's the pitch of the game, and also Birds of Prey Outcry is a thing, we should just be doing this in Gotham City. Like, there's no reason for us not to do that. So that's the story that we're going to tell here today, and I could not be more excited.
Oh, yes. I am very, very, very excited about this. Oh, so very excited.
I'm extremely excited. So what's going to happen is the game that we are playing is, like I said, about low-level neighborhood-style superheroes defending their borough of choice. In our case, it's a tiny little borough of Gotham that we'll get to know in a little bit. But first, we need to get to our superheroes. We're going to create our characters. Doing so is super quick. Then we're going to create a little bit of a scenario. We're going to create our borough, and once we have our characters, our borough, and our scenario, we'll play through that little one-issue adventure and tell a little bit of a story, and I could not be more excited.
Mm-hmm.
So, we spend our nights patrolling Gotham City. What goes with that? Well, we are survivors and tactical geniuses. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're each going to roll. So we're each making a character. I'm going to kind of take your lead as far as you're here as the main character. I am here as a secondary character in your story. But I'm going to be rolling here and making character stuff as well. So I'm going to ask you, roll 2d6, and then you're going to choose one or both skills off of this 6-item list. So give me 2d6, and then I'll give you your options.
Fabulous. All right, so they are 1 and 3.
Ooh, both good options. 1 is expert martial arts training, and 3 is a power that you use rarely or in non-combat ways only.
I'm cackling. I can't. Okay. The thing that's funny to me about this is very specifically because I with the premise of this, my brain is telling me, hey, you know what you want to do, but I'm not going to let you do this. You aren't going to do the easy thing right here, which is if those two, the combination of those two is quite literally exactly the Black Canary, and I'm really...
I heard those options and went, okay, yeah, Black Canary's on the table.
Like, oh, I'm still going to try to not do that, but...
I'm gonna also roll 2d6 and see what my options are. So I got 2 and 4. I got specialized gadgets and hack it. All right, that's literally Barbara Gordon. Okay, this is there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, challenges are on the table here.
Oh my God, this is really funny.
So I am going to. I actually have a pitch for a character that I want to roll with.
Okay.
And my character's name is... I have to think about a fun variant on this. So the premise that I want to go with is that my character is, for lack of a better way to put it, like an anti-Riddler.
Ooh.
In the way of, like, the specialized gadgets and the technical genius. The idea of... Like, I'm thinking of a Riddler in the Batman the Animated Series sort of tech riddle type way.
Ooh.
A character that, like, either was a peer of the Riddler or was, like wronged by the Riddler and has, like, set out to undo them.
Oh, I love that a lot, actually. The immediate thing that name-wise brings me to is the Solver.
The Solver's very good. I was like playing around with like ways of, yeah, I think I like that a lot. The Solver, I'm going to go with not even the Solver, but Solver is just a good name. Solver is a very good name for like especially a Batman style, like a Bat Family, a Gotham vigilante. And I think that, yeah, my character is a hacker and a sort of like wizard, code breaker. I think that's the direction that I want to take this character in.
Totally, I love that. I'm still. It's oh God.
You can. So I'm gonna put on the table. If you want to take the obvious, I'm not gonna stop you.
I know. I know. My. It's an interesting thing because there are like, I don't know. There are types of powers that I find myself over the years like latching onto that I really like. Mm-hmm. Like more so than even thinking about the type of character, building them around they have this ability but they refuse to use it, using that as like a great jumping off point for that's like a very who good this hook. Person is. Yeah. Like I think that Also, there's the specific version of the Black Canary that I like a lot, which is the reluctant hero. The one who when presented with the option of being a hero, they're like, oh, do I have to right now? Like, I'm not going to just let somebody get hurt, but I also actively don't want to be involved in this right now.
Right. Yeah.
That's my favorite version of the Black Canary. So I'm like thinking of that, but also thinking of like of that power element and trying to now go back and think of like, what are the powers that I love in any universe that are not sound related, that are specifically not sound related. Because if I can build off of that, then I think I'll feel good about it. I could always go back to my old standby of force fields because I like that one. And I think I'll stick with that. And so that is what the power is that they don't use, but I don't have a good.
Well, you don't necessarily have to take. You can just go with the power that you rarely use, coupled with like the standard level Batman like expertise that is assumed by you have put on a mask and are fighting in Gotham City.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? Because my brain is going back to it a lot, I will just go with. I will go with a Black Canary as a theme. We will use the Black Canary as a theme.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll make it somebody else.
So can I throw out a pitch related to that?
Yes.
If your character was somehow inspired by Black Canary is a presence in Gotham City in your character in the same way that mine was like touched by the Riddler or like impacted by the Riddler and that like affected the reasoning that I am becoming a vigilante. If the same thing happened with the Black Canary, there's a lot of good potential there.
There absolutely is. Now my urge to say it's Donnie is not it like that's no. This is not Donnie. This is a different one. I'm trying to think of who I want this to be, but I guess I can get to that. I'll get to their name first. Okay. Their name. Let's see. Since I am going with the sound bit, I feel like it's always a fun thing to play off of. There's a lot of, I also love birds. This is, I think, anybody listening to this knows that I have a few loves that are just very, that make no sense. Looking at me as a human being, and one of those is ornithology. I really love ornithology. Now, which leaves a lot of openings for like names and things. Because there's a lot of real fun birds out there. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of a real fun bird. I wonder. Perhaps. Let's go with the Shrike. I like that one.
Oh, Shrike is good. I like Shrike. That's just a good name.
Yeah. I will use that as a placeholder for now, more because I cannot think of like Shrike is a good name. I also know that if I have to keep saying that, it's going to bother me. Actually, sure. You know what? I'll go with an even better one. A full category. This one is a full classification. Or rather, more accurately, the order of Passerine. And we'll go with that one.
That's a good name. I like that. That's very good.
I love passerines. They're my favorite. Actually, it's just my favorite order of bird.
I love it. So we've got Passerine and we've got the Solver. We've got Passerine and Solver. So you get either a suit of combat armor or a stylized costume made by you. Ooh. You also get a tricked out vehicle and decked out lair or a cycle or base. I think I've got a decked out lair.
I do like that one. I love well, I guess then I want the tricked out vehicle.
Unless you want the layer and I could have, like, I'm fine swapping that out.
No, I like Passerine having a tricked out vehicle. There's something real fun about that. I like that a lot. Also, like, given the nature of the solver, it would make sense to have a decked out layer.
Yeah, it just feels like it feels like it's the place where the magic happens.
Exactly. And and sort of to that end, I kind of like the idea of combat armor, actually, now that I think about it, combat armor with expert martial arts training. I guess if it's extremely light armor, that sort of works. Yeah, okay, I see that. I'll go with combat armor.
Okay.
So it just generally is armor that sort of it is armor. It will protect and do all the protecting things. I can take a punch. This is good. This is great. But also it doesn't necessarily have a lot of like big style elements, which I feel fine about. Maybe just a logo in the center somewhere. I'm good with that.
I think I have a stylized costume that is specifically like tying into. I think the nature of my gadgets is they're all very like cloud based. They're all very like software, and I think my stylized costume has a lot of, for lack of a better way to put it, a lot of like hidden plugs and wires. I can connect to things like really.
Sorry, that is funny. I like that.
Yeah, like the idea of like I've got like a little spot on my belt that I can pull out a USB plug that like it's connected to the rest of my costume so that I can do the Batman style, like a little laser hologram keyboard appears in front of me and I type on it.
God, that's so good. And also would just be useful. I'm like kind of annoyed that I don't have that. Like my life would be so much easier if
it would make life easier. Okay, so what is something that Passerine... We now say something that we hate. So we now say something that we hate or that we're bad at, as well as something that is an expertise of ours that relates to our ordinary life.
I want to go with a very Batman thing, which is Passerine really, really hates pigeons.
I love it. It's very, very good.
Oh my god, that just feels mean, but also I kind of like it.
I mean, that feels like a Gotham City detail that is maybe at least a little bit, because I've grown up in New Jersey, which is canonically where Gotham is always supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Pigeons got to be real big.
Yep, pigeons.
Real big, mean city pigeons.
Pigeons are. Like, and that's not even, like, that's not a secret thing that I dislike. I like pigeons. Even in the city, I find them to be adorable.
Oh, I love pigeon. I love pigeons.
Yeah, like, I just love them. They're just cute little pigeons, just all flying around and stuff. I actually like being in, either New York or Jersey, depending on specifically where I am at the time, but I do like being there because the birds tend to be like less afraid of humans.
Oh yeah.
And just they're like, we have to be around y'all anyway. We might as well. Like, it's fine. So I'll just be like less than a foot away from from a wild animal. And I do.
It's cool. I love fearless city pigeons. They're some of my favorite things, and it makes me very happy that Passerine hates them.
I do too. Now, rats, on the other hand, that's a different story. I have a huge problem with city rats personally, but that's just my bias. They're fine. It's whatever. That doesn't mean attack them. Just I don't want them running over my foot in the subway. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair and valid. That is. I think the thing
Those are my hot takes for the day.
I think the thing Solver hates is being on the field. I think is the thing that I'm specifically like labeling is what I think Solver is he his pronouns, and I think his thing is that he doesn't want to be doing field work. Right? Like patrolling the streets and actually confronting like supervillains, that's not his thing. I crack codes. Like I open locks and crack codes. I don't need to be front and center during a fight.
Ah, yes. This checks out. I like that a lot.
And it ties in very nicely to like if the person that I hate the most is the Riddler, it's that sense of like I've conveniently found the one villain that probably hates physical confrontation as much as I do.
There you go. Oh my god. I stay loving the Riddler. I do. Like
I love the Riddler. I adore the Riddler. There's a reason that my brain immediately went to the Riddler. It's because he's my favorite.
The Riddler as a character, even in like the origin of the character, I just find that character to be one that I feel like we don't use a lot and to its full effect, and I feel like we should. It's just very fun. But yeah, like back to the campiness of like of Gotham City being kind of campy and kind of fun.
I agree.
I love that.
So we have 3 questions that are going to fill out our civilian life. We have a place that we spend time during the day that comes with a concern focus that we think of at night, like homework, business calls, significant others. There's an expertise that relates to our ordinary life, like chemistry, history, or Star Wars. And there are family members that we see daily, like parents, siblings, close friends, and pets.
All right. I think so. A place you spend time at during the day. Honestly, looking at that and the first thing that popped up there being homework was very funny to me. I do like the idea of this being of Passerine being a college student.
That's very good. That is peak Gotham City, is that you are a college student that is to defend against murder clowns.
Oh my god. Like, I remember college. I didn't have time for that. I didn't have time for
murder clowns.
That's why it's funny to me.
I think I want my place that I spend at night to be, or I spend my days. I think it is. It's. I'm gonna go with. I don't want to go with the obvious that I come from a tech background. I think I taught myself this. I think that like the tech skills and the gadgetry stuff is stuff that like I taught myself. So I think that it is. I'm gonna say that I literally have. I work at a call center. I'm in my early 20s. I have a job at a call center, and the thing that I think of at night is like business calls is on the list, and I think that's the best way to describe it. Is like I think about the stress that comes with work. I'm working at a job that I dislike. And it is stressful, and like, but you know, the second that 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock rolls around, I'm back in my lair doing cool tech stuff.
Oh yeah, I do think one expertise that can come from that. Maybe this just goes to show that I've never worked in a call center, and I have no intention of doing so ever in my entire life. But one of the things that I think might sort of work there is then, depending on the type of call center, having a knowledge about like security software. Used by like companies a lot, and therefore I think potentially how to break through them. Because let's be real,
I think that I like that. I think the 2 expertises that I have are like security software. I sell. I'm going to say I sell security software, and like therefore like I know the major players in that way that I'm supposed to like know these things.
Yeah.
And I also like know I'm going to say describe them as like surface level details, right? Like I know people's like I have like a distinct memory of people's names, where they work, the office addresses, like just because you look at them so much when you're making call, like the idea that like I have this catalog, and maybe it's something that I've memorized, maybe it's something that I have like I can pull it up on my phone and be like, oh yeah, here they work there. Like those big giant catalogs of information that you get in the call center is something that's like buried in my head.
I totally love that. I do. I do. Oh man. There are so many directions to take college student, like, because, and from that, like, the different expertise that you can take from those. Like, I should probably determine what Pastorine's major is.
That was actually going to be my next question. Was what is your major? Because I think that's one of your expertise.
Oh my god. Now here's that fun moment where I want to be like, how much of this is just me? It's self-inserting. Now I feel like, but I also kind of like that as an idea because that psychology was the thing I majored in, and there's a practicality to that, particularly if it's criminal psych. So criminal psychology. Let's roll with that. I like that. So that's one. So knowledge of the criminal underclass and how their brains work. Fun skill. And I don't have a second one.
You can just go with that. I think that it says 1 or 2, so if you just want to go with the 1.
Ability to research.
Oh, research is perfect. I love research.
Yeah, ability to research and stay up all night doing research specifically.
The one college. Like family member that I have is a close friend. It is the person on the other side of the cubicle that I work at. It is my like post work drinking buddy, like that we hang out after hours and complain about work.
And straight up shout out to those people. I love those people.
Shout out. I got it. You like I can't tell you how much my cubicle friends have gotten me through some difficult work times.
Oof, that is so real. Oh my god. I think my one person, I want it to be a pet. I want it to be a pet because I see that pet is there.
Pet is not
it must
pet.
be a pet. But oh no. All right. I'm gonna do a little roll for this. If it is between 1 and 2, if it is either 1 or 2, it's a cat. If it is 3 or 4, it is a dog. If it is 5 or 6, it is a bird.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. It's a 5. It is a bird.
That tracks. Your name is Passerine. It tracks that you would have a bird as a pet.
I know. My brain was like, don't go with it's a bird. Don't do that to yourself.
The dice, and I were both like, no, you gotta go. You gotta have a bird as a pet.
It's like, damn, that is just how that's gonna work. And I think that bird will be. Oh, what are the ones that I don't know why I'm very specifically getting an image in my brain of like the last time I went into Petco, which, fun fact for everybody, I can't go into Petco because every single one of them has one end cap that freaks me out, and it is the one that has the beta fish on it. Like it's just right out in the middle of the lane. Anybody with a cart could hit that and topple all of them over. That's a bad day for everybody, but especially for me. That would terrify me so much. So, but anyway, the last time I did go in there were these gorgeous little yellow birds that were just in this little cage. They were very tiny. They, like, if you think of a cartoon bird right now, you're honestly probably thinking of these. Mm-hmm. Like, just like a little animated Snow White bird. I don't know what those are called, but like those. That's what I'm thinking of right now. I feel like it's a finch, but I could be wrong. We'll go with it's a finch. We'll go with it as a yellow finch.
And so the last 2 things that we need to create are our big mysteries, the thing that we're always on the hunt for. It says to keep it secret. I feel like there's no reason for us to keep it secret other than I feel like it makes as much fun as keeping things secret is. I think that for the purposes, if we're only going to have, half hour, 40 minutes of like play, I think it makes sense to just tell us what the thing is, especially because it's going to help us like create the scenario that we're going after.
Agreed. I always, when faced with a question like this, and then faced with a prompt in the section immediately following of like, who killed my dad 20 years ago, which is just brilliant. By the way, just that's
Good writing.
That's a great little leading question there. Or even the DNA one, I kind of want to combine both of these and be like, who killed my parents and changed my DNA 25 years ago?
That's a pretty good mystery, though, is the thing. Like, that's... I think mine is...
Oh, boy. That's a bad time. Ooh, oh, boy.
I think mine, to contrast that, is much lower stakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's necessarily, like, heroic stakes. I think mine is much more... I think mine is specifically, like... There is a rumor among tech enthusiasts that the Riddler has a stash of like diamonds somewhere that is worth several million to like a low billion number. Like it is the One Piece treasure chest of like Gotham mysteries, right? It's like the Riddler the rumor has it the Riddler successfully made off with like $2 billion of diamonds.
Ooh.
And my thing is, because I am the solver and because I think the Riddler, I was involved... Excuse me, I'm gonna drink some water.
I have to, like, adjust my little arm brace a wee bit. I slept on my hand, weirdly, the other day.
Oh, that's no good.
And I'm old. And that just means that now I can't use my hand.
That happened to me. I accidentally sat on my foot during a half-hour meeting and tried to walk. I was like, this isn't happening.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, it's been like this for like 3 days. Fortunately, I just have this brace just in my house just because this has happened
because
too
we're
many
old.
times.
That's why we have braces and heated blankets. It's
Right.
because we're old.
Gotta love it.
I think my mystery is, I love that it's this rumor of the Riddler's treasure, and I think, like, my specific grudge is that the Riddler, like, as part of a scheme, like, bankrupted my family business years ago, and, like, you know, the Wayne Foundation, like, gave us the money back for it, but, like, it just was one of those things where, like, it just disrupted it. We were never quite able to, like, get comfortable again. And so, like, I've been after... I want to beat the Riddler because of what the Riddler put my family through. Or maybe even, like, we did get better. Maybe it's, like, it is actually, like, I like that the Wayne Foundation, like, gave that money and, like, repaired that. Right? Like, Batman stopped the Riddler, gave the, returned that money to the people that lost it. But, like, the trauma of, like, being robbed at that scale by, quite literally, a weirdo in a green and purple question mark suit is the type of thing that, like, even though the harm was undone, or, like, even though, like, things were made better, it's still enough for me to be like, I'm gonna destroy this man.
There's an amount of trauma there that really just can never actually be solved.
Yeah. It's like this is my thing now.
And really, it's just that, honestly, it was because of that suit. Like, if he wasn't wearing that suit, the trauma wouldn't exist.
If it wasn't a weirdo in a suit, like, it would be a different story.
If this weird guy in spandex didn't break into my house, this wouldn't be a problem. Anyway,
so
sorry. That's just oh,
no,
God.
That's my motivation in a nutshell.
That's my motivation in life, really. That's just...
frankly.
That weird man hadn't broken into my house in spandex 25 years ago. I don't know that I'd be in this position right now.
So, last but not least, what is our bond to each other? How do we relate to each other?
Okay. I think there's one other question that I think sort of needs to determine this, which is... What is the age of our respective characters? I'm presuming my character is, I'm going to just say 21.
I think I'm like 20. I think I'm like maybe 2 years older, like 23.
Okay.
Like, I think I'm 23. I think I might be like either in college or like just out of college, but like on that kind of precipice of out of college dumb.
Okay. Because then I think that would still be, like, relatively close enough for, like, childhood friends or like school friends, and that having just carried on. That feels good.
like that.
Yeah.
And I think the detail that I'd love to throw onto that is like, if you kind of became a hero out of like necessity, I think probably like the detail I want to throw out is like, you've probably been doing this longer than I have. I'm probably pretty new at this, and I probably like have dived into it kind of almost in response to you or in support of you, in terms of like, you're my friend who had this thing happen to them that kind of changed the way that they're going to interact with the world forever. You've kind of taken to defending your neighborhood. And I'm like, well, I've got this mission that I've been training myself for. I could probably help out with that. I could probably put on a mask and I could probably be back up on that.
Totally. I love that.
All right. So the last thing we're going to do, now that we've got our characters, we're going to each create a location in our little neighborhood of Gotham City. And then once we do that, we'll figure out what the scenario that puts us in danger is, and then we'll save the day.
Yeah. Love it. Okay.
So let's each roll a 20-sided dice. That will tell us one of the locations in this borough, and then we'll each roll some dice to figure out some details about that borough.
All right. I guess I will use my 20-sided seaweed die. Mainly because I do not think I've ever used this one at all for anything. Okay. All right, that would be an 11.
So on an 11, tell me about... See, now what's interesting is I rolled a 19, and that tells me a lot about like the neighborhood that we're in, because an 11 is a lounge, and a 19 is a hotel.
Oh. A hotel lounge. I kind of love that.
So these are two separate buildings, but that tells me that this is definitely like a that tells me that this is like a leisure district.
Yeah, this is the place that people come to visit. This is the area of the city where yes, this is the tourism area.
This is the tourism area, the tourism area in Gotham City?
Ooh.
Hilarious.
Yeah, like y'all really scraping the bottom of it. Like this is the y'all
this
had
is
to like
where
win
picked?
a contest to come here, and like it wasn't you didn't sign up to be in this contest is the thing.
So at the risk of all right, so you know how at several points you were talking about there's a possibility that like you felt like was the easy thing for you to throw out?
Yeah.
I have to throw out the easy thing here, and it is because the Jersey trash in me has to throw out Gotham City being canonically, in a lot of sources, being canonically located in New Jersey.
Yep.
This being the tourism district of a city that should have no right having a tourism district. Is this the boardwalk?
I think it is.
This is the boardwalk. All right.
I guess it is.
We stick up for the boardwalk. You know what? I'm here for this.
All right. Let's roll with it. That's fine with me.
All right. So now for the so we're each going to roll 2d6 the same way that we did for our character skills. There's a d6 table for things that are true of our location. So you're going to roll for 2d6 for things that are true of your lounge. I'm going to roll for the hotel. We can choose one of those to be true or both of them.
All right. Oh.
I rolled snake eyes, so I'm gonna. I'm gonna roll another one, but I'm gonna say like abandon these days. One is abandon these days, which feels for sure accurate to a hotel on the boardwalk in Gotham.
No, keep that one for sure. So the other two that I have is Gothic or Roman architecture.
It's Gotham City. That feels right.
Dangerous side of town.
Both of those feel right for the boardwalk in Gotham City.
Jesus.
And I rolled tied up with crime. All like literally, JV, like we could not have more accurately created the boardwalk with our dice results. This feels like it was pointing us in a direction.
Oh, well, I guess that's where we are, isn't it? I guess that's just. Oh boy. Wow. But also the abandoned part on top of all of that is just...
I get the vibe. I've been to the boardwalk off season, and it's the weirdest experience. And like, I get the vibe that there's just like, people don't like that. Like the only people that like are around are the people that live here, right? Like I think the tourism industry has dried up because it's Gotham City, and goddamn, of course it has. And like it just leads to those very like terrifying looking like abandoned boardwalks and like a little bit of the Joker aesthetic of like amusement halls and like arcades that are empty, like. And it's just like kind of walking the boardwalk, and it's like kind of only the people left that have lived here and are here their whole lives and like kind of refuse to leave. My family ran an arcade that was like shut down because of the Riddler's meddling.
This reminds me so much of very specifically like the beach portion of Virginia Beach in November. Because none of the lights are up yet for like the Christmas boardwalk bit, and it's way too cold for everything else. So everything else is like shut down, but like you'll still occasionally see people out there. And this is like the part of Virginia Beach that like definitely feels like weirdly like a city. But like even the Dairy Queen's closed. Like it is.
Everything's just closed.
It's weird. It's a weird vibe.
It's weird vibes, and that's the vibe that we have here, and I love it.
I do love that.
I've just rolled some dice for like a big bad. Would you like to know what I rolled so that we can kind of start to brainstorm out like what we want this threat to be that we're gonna go to battle against?
Oh yes, I'm very ready. Yes,
so I rolled a 6, which is the style of this big bad is an emperor.
Oh.
And then I rolled a 4 for their motif or their name, which is tied to a gadget or a power. And then I rolled a 1, which is a criminal enterprise, which just feels... I like that as an option just in terms of, like... And so...
Can I tell you a very unhinged idea that just popped in
unhinged
my
is the energy that we're bringing to this recording already, so I want it 100%.
Oh my god. So, Oh, okay, I need to breathe oxygen so I can say the words that just popped into my head. The word emperor is really funny to me, but the thing that it's bringing to me is Emperor Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not Gotham's famous penguin. No, this is not Gotham's penguin. This is a different penguin. This is Emperor Penguin.
This is so. Okay, so then I immediately have a this is Emperor Penguin. And
so I can't stop laughing.
It's very good. It's very good, especially because I think what has happened is here's the pitch that I want to throw out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of it's one of those great kind of Gotham City it's one of those great kind of Gotham City lose-lose kind of unwinnable situations.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an established villain, right? Like this is a new character that has emerged.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making themselves known in a big way, right? Like they have taken one of these abandoned casinos or entertainment halls or like fun houses, one of these big storefronts on the boardwalk.
I think I know what it must be. It is an old fun house.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, naturally, I am a little bit thinking of Birds of Prey and the fact that they had to walk into that woman's mouth. I am a little bit thinking of that. However, there's also a scene from Cardcaptor Sakura that I'm remembering from when I was a literal child. And there was a slide that looked like a penguin, and I'm thinking, but it had a really long tongue, which was very odd and slightly disturbing. But if the entrance is the head of a penguin,
that's very good.
This is perfect.
And the inside, it's all like it's one of those awful kind of theme casinos.
Oh God.
And it's similar to, and I think the thing that I want to pitch out is that like our adventure, the issue of our comic is built with a ticking clock.
Oh yeah.
Which is that the actual penguin, Oswald Cobblepot's gang, is on their way to like burn this place to the ground, because I think this villain last issue has done the very kind of Gotham, very mob movie. I'm thinking a little bit of Boardwalk Empire here, because I think we just either finished Boardwalk Empire or currently watching it, but also we're like from the area. So it's like,
Yeah.
but like that sort of big, mob boss debut of immediately, like there were several smaller crime gangs or several smaller villains that the Emperor Penguin showed up and like wrecked their shit. Ooh. And like had this big supervillain debut, right? Like last issue. And, like, currently they run the boardwalk. Like, as of the start of this issue, we are seeing them fully in control of the boardwalk. But the thing is, Oswald Cobblepot is, like, on his way with guys.
and we all know what happens when that happens.
Right.
It's
and the
bad.
thing is, that if we don't get involved, it's either we take out Emperor Penguin, like, directly, or it gets messy, and the very people that we're protecting are going to get caught in the worst crossfire that the Gotham Boardwalk has ever seen.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh boy. Oh, we gotta help them. Oh no. That's
the pitch that I want to throw out.
I love it. I am deeply concerned for the fate of these people caught in the crossfire of two warring penguins.
I love it.
God, I love this so much. Okay, this is perfect.
The issue title is March of the Penguin.
Ah!
And it's...
I need to pause for a brief second, because that is incredible and I cannot breathe. Oh, Lord. I literally have to crack open the door because I'm sweating so much. That is so funny. All right, good. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry about needing to pause for a second.
You're fine.
There.
This is heavily edited. This is my note that this is heavily edited.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, so that's our scenario. That's where Passerine... now the question for both of us, and I think we're just gonna kind of from here, like we kind of just roll some dice. There's a move that we'll make when we do something risky or dangerous. I'll explain what that is, but for the most part, we just kind of have to set up how we're going to engage that mystery and come to the solve of it, and then we will be badasses. Pretty much that's how this goes from here. Is we're going to take on this supervillain, we're going to be badasses, we're going to do some cool superhero stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Yes. And then I have a question for me. Based maybe on your answer, I'm going to throw it to you, but like the thing that I want to throw to you first, how do you get involved with this?
As in
like what is your I guess what I mean is like what does your intro to this issue look like? Whether that means like how are you decide what is your like I have to take this guy down moment, or like how do we see or alternately how do we see you like on the scene already, like in media res?
All right. So I think one of the things that I think my character would do is while studying, watch the evening news. And I think, and I also love, as everybody will note when they listen to Birds of Prey Outcry, I do love love using the news and how
I love it's a classic Batman superhero trope is the Vicky Vale on the evening news
being like, hey, so this is what's going on right now, and here's why we should be concerned. And I think hearing about not what's going down, what might go down tonight, because I don't think the evening news would put that on for reasons.
See,
here's what
that's
will
great.
happen this evening. No, I think they would
and
put
that's
on...
great, because I have a key in... I think that gives me my hook for what I want Solver's intro to this to be.
Oh, perfect. But yeah, I think Passerine here's... Yeah, so... this happened last night. Word on the street I kind of want them to say that it looks like it's going to be the March of the Penguins. I really don't want them to actually verbally say
Vicky
it.
absolutely says that as it's like a caption bubble.
Yeah.
Like we see the shot of her explaining that like last night there were a series of shootouts. It looks like it was the work of this costumed crime lord calling himself Emperor Penguin. Like it looks like it was like a localized, dedicated or like it looks like these were related. You know, police are looking into this, and we get like the briefest shot of Harvey Bullock being like, "It's that guy. It's a it's the other guy that's a penguin. What do you want from me?" And that's all we see of
her penguin.
And that's our Harvey Bullock cameo. And I think like we hear her say it's going to be the March of the Penguins as we see like Cobblepot getting his guys together because he was also watching the news.
Mm-hmm.
And the key, which keys me into Solver, because I think Solver just like has the world, like one of his things is a Bat computer style like world's best like police scanner.
Yeah.
It's one of those favorite. like you found out, like we found out through Passerine like what has happened, and we find out through Solver like what's going to happen.
Exactly. I do like that.
And we're friends, so like we probably like immediately get on the wire together.
Immediately start texting. I'm imagining it happening via text, and just like scenes of each of us sort of getting ready because that like clearly is the next logical step. And in each frame there is a different piece of information about like, so where are we meeting up to go over this?
Yeah.
Like only in that first panel do we see that somebody is holding their phone.
Yeah,
but
for
all
sure.
the rest of it is the conversation spread out over several panels of just getting ready.
100%. And I think that Solver getting ready looks like it's a lot of Jim Carrey typing GIF, clacking on keys, and then finally like pulling up maps and details, loading them onto drives, slides over to a closet to the Batman style glass case, stares at the suit for a very long time. And we just get one panel of head and hands like, oh, I've got to go on the field. Oh, I don't want to do this.
And while we see that Passerine is like looking at the wildly tricked out motorcycle that has wings on it. Now, mind you, I'm not talking wings that do anything. These wings do nothing. There are just wings on the side of it.
I love it.
Just wings made of pure metal just on the side. Very, very conspicuous.
I mean, it has to, it's a superhero vehicle in Gotham. It has to be.
Precisely.
So where do we meet once we are like armored up?
I think we're gonna meet at the Dairy Queen.
Love it.
We're meeting in the parking lot of the closed Dairy Queen.
I pull up in an Uber. I don't even pull up in like a cool.
I love that a lot. That's really good.
I'm gonna throw in. I think there's a little bit of fan service where it's like a yellow cab pulls up and we see inside it's a grungy looking redheaded dude that may or may not be Vic Sage, and he just kind of drives off, and I'm like, that dude was weird. He seemed weirdly okay with this, but I guess that's Gotham.
Like what a weird thing for him to just be fine with. All right, sure. Love that. So I think then we get out and we sort of run through the game plan.
Let's do that, you and I, right now. I think so I think what I'd like to do, I would actually like, as we are talking, for each of us to make a roll here. I would like to make a roll here. We'll go through the making move section. We'll go through it piece by piece. But I think what I want to do here is like to represent us making the plan, and then as we do that, we will throw in like details of how we are going to do the plan.
Yes, totally.
So here's how making moves works. When we are doing something dangerous and things have a chance of failure or going wrong, we talk through what we want to do, and we roll 2 dice, and we take +1 for each advantage that we have. Like, we have the high ground, we have our skills, we have our vehicle or layer, and we have our expertise. And -1 for each disadvantage, like you're in an exposed position, your opponent has skills or tools, you are injured, your concerns are filling your mind, or it involves something you're bad at.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think the first thing that we will need is, all right, so the first thing we're going to need, well, how do I...
So I would love to make the first roll.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Because I think I've got probably like maps and data on like this place that Emperor Penguin is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll call that a +1 for my expertise in like laying out all this like data sciencey stuff. But I think -1 because I'm not in my layer, like I'm in a bad position, and another -1 for I'm on the field and I don't like being on the field.
Totally. Oh god, what a mood.
So I'm gonna roll a flat 2d6. If I get 8 or better, I succeed at what I was trying to do. If my total is lower than that, we'll say that I'm still able to like tell us the first thing that we need to do and how to do it, but like we'll put ourselves in trouble.
Sure. Okay. I like that.
All right, well, that's a 6. So I think the first thing we need to do is get into this place, right? Like we know, like there's probably there's a way to get into this lounge that is not through the front door.
There is through the mouth of the penguin.
I think that like, actually, I'm gonna say I think that like. I point out like 3. I think what's much cooler is I point out 3 areas that we could go in. Like we could go in through the sewers. There's a way into the back room that'll take us. There's a back door that'll lead us into the kitchen. But we see 3 panels that all 3 of those are like armed with guys in sort of vaguely gladiatorial, vaguely penguin themed outfits. Like they've got big beaks on their Roman gladiator helmets.
Oh my god, I love that. I love that
and I'm like,
much.
And like I point out all 3 of these things, and I'm like, you know where the least protected place in this lounge is? It's right through the mouth of the penguin.
It's literally the mouth of the penguin. We're gonna have to climb through the mouth of the penguin.
We just walk right. We walk right in the front door, and we wave and we smile and we say, "We're here to stop you."
It's like, hi. Hi, we'd like to have a conversation with the boss. That sounds great. I think that, so naturally, I think then going through the front is bold. It's bold as hell. Mm-hmm. It's one of the boldest possible things that you could do as a hero is just walk straight through the front door.
100%.
This is day 1 of things they tell you not to do in the Bat family is just walk directly in the front door. And just...
What makes it such a great plan. Yeah,
I suppose so. Batman's going to be furious, but also he's with his space friends, so I don't really care. So I think that...
I would love for you to make a roll.
Yeah.
To tell me a weakness that Emperor Penguin has. Like roll to see like I want you to tell me the weakness that we're gonna exploit in our fight against him, and possibly put us in trouble in doing so.
All right. I don't think that I have anything for an advantage. I don't think other than like. Oh, I guess other than like. Maybe necessitating needing to fight people, which actually, oh no, but they are heavily armed. That's fine.
I feel like that still works. I feel like if the weakness involves having involves direct fighting, I'm going to give you that +1.
Yeah.
I'll also give you another +1 because you've probably done some research here.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Oh, the skill. Ah, yes. Back to those skills, those useful skills. That's actually a good point. So. Having looked at the research and also sort of having looked at the way in which last night's crime was conducted and the message it was supposed to send in criminal psych, that is a thing that you may or may not actually learn. I only took 2 classes on it, but I learned a lot. Anyway, I'll
give you a +3.
Oh, okay.
And cool. I think a -1 because I think that this is a professional criminal. This opponent has skills
Yeah.
and tools that I think is going to put you at a +2.
I think also this is the most exposed position possible.
You're
We are
right. This is going to put us in a very exposed.
door.
This is going to put us in an exposed position to take 2d6 + 1.
Yeah, that checks out. Oh boy. It's like, oh god, that I'm not a tactician by any means, but I'm looking at this like, oh no. Oh, this is bad, but all right, let's go. So that is an 11. This feels good to me.
That feels great. So what is the weakness that we can exploit?
The weakness we can exploit is that this man has a lot to prove. This man is
I love that.
trying too hard.
I love that. I adore that.
He's trying way too hard. It is abundantly clear to everybody around him, meaning also his goons don't actually respect him that much because
That's
he is
very
trying
good.
too hard.
I love that.
Oh boy, I don't know where that just came from in my spirit, but all right.
So
like
I'm
it.
gonna make. So then I'm gonna make one last roll before we get into the actual fight scene and we play out the actual big climax of this. I'm gonna make a roll. I think that like we find out these things as we're kind of going, right? Like we get some like stylistic shots of the map as I'm riding behind you on the motorcycle, and it's not working. It does not look cool. I look like a mess. I'm holding down my mask. I've probably got like a headpiece that I'm like, bleh. But we're getting this information, right? Like we're finding out that we see a brief moment of like two henchmen kind of like shit talking a little bit, and we get the sense that we see how sweaty Emperor Penguin is. We're getting all this information. We get there. And then I want to make a roll to set you up for a better fight.
Ah, yes.
And so I plug into an outlet on the bike, and it pulls up a little laser keyboard, and I start typing.
Oh, I love it.
So what I want to roll here is to give you an advantage in the fight. So I'm going to say, I think we are moving in stealth. I don't think... No, we're not. We're extremely not moving in stealth.
We absolutely
in fact, we're pretty
are.
exposed.
We are deeply exposed. This bike has wings on it.
This bike has wings on it. So we could be not. And I'm wearing a purple and green Riddler-esque suit and hat combo. Like I'm wearing an outfit that is clearly a reference to the Riddler in a way that like you have to. It has exclamation points on it because I'm Solver. I'm not the Riddler.
I do. Oh, I love that. I love the exclamation points, actually. That makes me so happy.
So, but I am using my skills here. I'm going to give myself +2 here, even if I'm not in my layer. Like I am connected to the net where all the pieces in my layer that I'm relying on.
Mm-hmm.
I've got I'm using my skills. I've got my layer. That's +2. I think I don't think I'm using any of my expertise here. No, I think I might be. Because what I want to do is hack into their system.
Yeah.
And blow some things up to scare the henchmen to get them to run.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So that's going to be a +3.
Ooh, actually, I like it. I like it. I think instead of blowing things up, I want them to start making very weird ghost noises.
Oh, that's good.
But
or like
specifically, I want it to be the voice of David Attenborough.
I love that. That's very good. And I want it to be. I'm gonna push this to a +4, and then I'll knock that number down a little bit. But I think I want it to be a +4 because I think what I want is to, in a David Attenborough voice, whisper knowledge that I have from my day job about some of these henchmen.
Oh, I love that.
All right.
I like that. That's devious. That's fun.
I do think that we're in an exposed position, so that's going to put me down to a +3.
Yes, I think so.
And I'm on the field, so I'm going to put it down to a +2.
That works. That sounds accurate.
Oh, but that is a 6.
No. Fight-wise, I don't know that that's that much of a problem.
I think what has gone wrong here
is David Attenborough has too sweet sounding of a voice. So they're just very focused now.
Maybe it's that the penguin gets keyed in somehow, and the ticking clock that was like he was across town is now like he is double speeding it.
Oh no.
So you've got like 2 minutes to take. I'm like, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is, and I point at like the doors and people are like running off in terror. The bad news is I pull up a little video screen and we see that like the penguin is like half a mile away.
Oh boy.
The penguin is like a 5-minute drive away. And there's like way more cars than we were anticipating.
Okay. That is not ideal. That's not ideal, but at least I've got this cool bike, which I think might factor in like making this go down. So this is what I'm, oh boy, I kind of, okay. So this feels like a good moment to use the power that I wouldn't normally use in combat. Due to like just not having the time. So like rather than actually just making this fight happen, just screaming real loud, might solve the problem of needing to do a big fight.
I love it. I love it. Give me. Let's do a roll for that to blow open the doors and get you directly in front of a terrified Emperor Penguin.
Well, because I think I'm presuming this is actually one of the initial questions that I was thinking of. Is the goal to get this penguin into police custody? Is that what to get the Emperor Penguin into police custody? Was that the goal, or is it, or was it something different? I'm simply
I want to throw you at a
presuming-
detail.
Yeah.
I want to throw you a question.
Yes.
Why? Because I think that like this is Jeff speaking. This is Jeff. This is authorial desires, Jeff. I want to make it. I want this to be a story that does not end in the police prison state.
Agreed.
So I'm trying to think. What is the reason that we can't rely on that? Like, what is the reason cops can't be trusted here? Is it just that we are in Gotham City?
Yes, there's that. But also, I think in addition to that, there is, tying it back to the secret, I think that this penguin has some penguin-like features. To a degree that might say, hey, this person has been DNA tampered with, therefore...
Oh, they've got ice powers.
Oh my god. Yes, so this is a penguin with ice powers. Oh god. Oh no.
Okay.
Oh, no. I love it. So we've got some questions. We have some questions for this penguin. So we need to bring him back to the bat lair of some kind.
Which is the sub-basement of my apartment complex.
Yes, precisely. We must bring him to the sub-basement of your apartment complex for safekeeping so we can question him.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, so I think that, so I think basically what we're going to have to tell him to do is get on the bike.
Okay. So I think what happens is I'm not even going to ask you to roll for, like, blowing open the door. I think that, like, between you blowing open the door and me whispering secrets in their ears, it is now you face-to-face with the Emperor Penguin. I think, like, as this is happening, I am, like, scrambling on computer screens and, like, trying to slow down the penguin as quick as much as I can, but I think this is your moment with Emperor Penguin kind of one-on-one.
Yeah. All right. So I think we'll see. We'll see a sort of from the Emperor Penguin's perspective, just sort of view of Passerine just sort of standing above the Emperor Penguin, who has also heard that audio and is also scared, because that did seem like just haunted audio coming from nowhere, which I do love a lot. And in having that happen, in sort of experiencing that, and also having a door just sort of, like hearing a real loud noise that you don't really know where it's coming from, but having your door sort of slam open, having somebody motorcycle into your living room. I think he's scared. I think he's
terrified.
shook. And I think so from that angle of like, oh, this intimidating figure is telling me to get on this bike if I want to live.
Yeah, so I think I love that, and I think it's like perfect. I think honestly this might just be I'm gonna say before they surrender, before Emperor Penguin surrenders.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna make I want one roll off with you.
Sure.
Where we each roll, because I think he's gonna throw some ice at you in a panic before you get a chance to kind of be like, come with me if you want to live.
Yeah.
To see if you can like immediately take him down, I wanna roll some dice, and
I feel it.
I'm gonna say, he does not have the high ground. No, I think he does have the high ground. This is his domain.
This is his house. He does no longer have guards, though.
He does not have guards. He does have power, so I'll put that at a 2.
Yeah, he has powers. No guards, though. Oh boy. He's
also
having a bad day.
But also you've got powers.
I also do similarly have powers and an awesome car.
I think this might be both of us rolling at 2d6 plus 2.
Yes, I will also say this does feel a little bit like psychological manipulation.
This does. I'll give you that extra plus 1.
Yeah, I'm feeling that psychological manipulation of like the epic intimidation.
Honestly, I'm gonna put mine down to 2d6 plus 1 because I think that he is in a panic.
Yeah, and honestly, rightfully so. I cannot blame him. I really don't. Ooh, okay. So mine was plus 3, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So that is 12.
I also rolled a 12.
Oh. This is a fun time.
I think what we see, I don't even think we see the fight itself. I think that we see Solver outside, like, typing and being like, all right, if I block this traffic light, oh, they've got a police envoy. Okay, that's not good. They're definitely on the make. They are definitely... Okay, I can... And we just see the building explode. Ice and sonic explosions go everywhere.
Yeah, that checks out. Oh boy.
I think that Emperor Penguin is like is done in, or like at least disarmed, and is like, okay, you win, but like it is just straight up like, and like the building itself just
the walls have all come crashing down, and you just see an angry and slightly cold Passerine and
Emperor Penguin is just standing and is like, I don't want to keep fighting with this. This isn't what I signed up for.
We don't have time for this. Just screaming. And time to go. Yeah.
All right. I want
it.
one. So that means we have one last roll to make.
Mm-hmm.
And,
do we escape the penguin?
I think we gotta have a chase scene against. We gotta have a chase scene where we get chased by the penguin.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we escape the penguin? All right. So now
I'm gonna let you roll on this.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say, but I'll throw out any pluses or minuses that we want to add to this final roll.
So pluses, I would say, we have a really cool motorcycle versus several cars, which I think several cars may seem like that is an advantage on their end. However, I don't know that it is, because
several cars versus one motorcycle feels like advantage you.
Yes, because a motorcycle can go through some real tiny crevices, whereas a big car cannot.
Yeah, we get that. We get those shots of like you turn down an alleyway and a car tries to and gets caught between the walls. Yeah, and they call out through the window and they try to shoot at you. We see like shots like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe there's also a thing of like upon seeing that he's about to be chased, that he's being chased by I want to say one of the cars just has a penguin on it, which is probably confusing. It's like that's not my car. I haven't been around long enough to have cars like that, so that can't be my car. Oh no, it's the other penguin. Oh no. I think in realizing that, he's probably going to maybe utilize some icy skills for some slippies.
And I think I'm probably also utilizing my skills. Like, I imagine they're running red lights, but I'm like, at one point I hack into a grid, despite the fact that traffic lights don't run on a computer grid.
It's fine.
Comic books. It doesn't matter. But I turn on a green light, so like they try to go through and cars start going in every direction and they get caught behind a wall of of deadlocked traffic.
Oh yeah. I like
which
that.
puts us to a +4.
All right. Here we are.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything we want to put as a disadvantage.
The disadvantage is stressed.
All right, so roll 2d6 plus 3.
Stressed out. That is a grand. Oh man. Oh, well, that's fun. This is the worst one that I've rolled yet this whole time. But it's still an 8 though.
Eight's all we need.
That's good.
Let's each throw out one more cool scene that we get from the chase as we get back to my lair.
All right, so we get an ice ramp. There's an ice ramp.
For sure.
And a jump, which increases the amount of stress, but there is still a cool, sick jump. And I think there's a shot of OG Penguin being like, "I'll get you, bird brain." I couldn't come up with a good comic book insult, so we'll go with bird brain.
Bird brain is good. You're a bird themed. I think the other thing that we see is there's definitely a shot where like you turn down an alleyway and there's a wall, but I think that what happens is, like, we get it's the classic, you turn down the alleyway, you're trying to make the jump, there's a wall, and what happens instead is, I hit some buttons on my wrist, like a little screen pops up, I hit some buttons, and we see several, circuit breakers overload. And the wall blows out.
Oh.
It just, like, causes a giant explosion in front of us, which adds to the stress, right? Like,
yeah. Oh God, what's on the other side? I hope there's nothing on the other side.
It's like a warehouse on the other side, but like at least there's a big metal doorway that like we can kind of like get through, and like I hit some buttons on my watch and the door activates and we open just in time for you to kind of do the very cool put the motorcycle on the side and do a little bit of a spin out.
Yeah.
Oh, so you slide through the door, the penguin and then the corrupt cops are nowhere to be seen. And we are back in the base.
Oh, we've made it. We've survived. We survived. I think there's a good moment in a little panel there where everyone's sort of catching their breath, lying on their side because the thing is like fallen over. And he just sort of looks over and is like, and Passerine looks over and is like, I think we need to have a conversation about these ice powers. And I feel like that's a good.
I think that's a good place to end it. I think the last thing that we see, or I think the thing that we see is like, we hear you say that, and we get like a little bit of a shot. I was gonna tie this in. No, I'm gonna. May I tie this into a very specific comic that is for the joy of myself and my wife and for more than anyone else.
Yes, please.
Okay. This may be for you. I don't know. I'm gonna throw it out there and see how you feel about it. If we want to shoot it, we can scrap all of this. I think that what we find out is the Emperor Penguin is like gives you like a name that like it mentions that like we get a little bit of a shot of you talking to the penguin and he's freaking out, and the last thing that he says is I don't have I don't have a name, but I have a classification. I can tell you the project that we were part of. We are what is called, the best that I've been able to find in my research, I've had some people looking into it, is that we are Generation 14 of an elite government program.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's right. We are the sequel to Wildstorm Classic Gen 13.
I love that. I also appreciate it.
I'm glad.
I love the clapping in the background. Also, hi. Hello.
Oh, Jen is literally in the other room watching wrestling. I'm going to leave it in.
I love that so much. It's so funny.
It's perfect. Also, because Jen is a huge Gen 13 fan, it's going to be great.
That's wonderful. Oh, yes.
And that's game.
That is. Oh, I like this game.
That was fun. Oh, that was great. I would love to play more of this, frankly. This was fun.
Agreed.
Exactly
oh
my
God.
style of play, which is light and just kind of throwing out ideas and bouncing stuff around. It was good times.
So fun. I love it very, very much.
Also, the unhinged energy that we brought, top tier.
The unhinged energy of Emperor Penguin in a
another
universe where
it's the other penguin. Very good.
Does just feel kind of ripe, and also high key a little bit what the DC universe is currently just doing. High punchline, and their new. And their new Poison Ivy? Anyway, I love both of them. I do.
Yeah.
However,
it is a long and treasured tradition for DC Comics to go, yeah, this is kind of like the other. This is kind of like the other guy. It's just a little different.
as like, you recognize it. Y'all recognize him.
That was so much fun. Thank you so much for playing this with me. That was delightful.
Thank you so much for playing this with me. This was great. I love this a lot, and I cannot stop laughing. I'm going to be laughing about this for the remainder of the evening.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Like, me too. Frankly, this was good. Real quick though, before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
So you can find me at Red Black Golden, black being spelled BLAQUE, on literally every social media platform. Some of them have a hashtag and some funky numbers after them, but like most of them are simply that, Red Black Golden, with no spaces or anything in between. And red and golden are spelled the way that both of those are typically spelled.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for doing the show. This was an absolute treasure. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me.
Thanks, past me. And thanks again to JV for coming on the show. That game was... Did y'all know that I love superheroes? I really, really enjoy superhero stories. And, like, that was such a delightful, wonderful experience that I am over the moon about. I think it was incredibly good. I'm so happy about it. Be sure to head to mstrox.itch.io for your own copy of What's So Tough About Crime Fighting. Be sure to head to the show notes for more information about Birds of Prey Out and Cry, about Losers, a Love Story, and about JV Reads the Tea. And be sure to follow JV on Twitter at RedBlackGolden. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/PartyOfOneDiscord. And head to our merch store at bit.ly/PartyOfOneMerch. If you'd like to support the show, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/JeffStormer. You can make a one-time donation at kofi.com/JeffStormer. You can also just, I don't know, tell a friend about the show, leave us a nice review on Podchaser. It sends a nice email to my inbox. It's really the only thing that it does, but, like, that should be enough. You can also just, like, give us some shout-outs on social media. Any of those things help new listeners find the show, which helps us do bigger, better, and cooler things. The other thing that you can do is support the other podcast that I produce every week, All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast on the One Shot Podcast Network, powered by you. Every week, my best friend Aaron Catano Saez and I take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Rain, featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, press coverage of the show, or about coming onto the show as a guest, you can shoot me an email at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And with all of that said, I think that's all we do here, so until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody!